Hello, everybody. Again, welcome to SC Playbook, the EPL edition. Game week 4 in the books. We have myself, Alex Molchanoff, in studio today. No Matty Jurman. He's away in Hong Kong attending to playing duties. So we bring back in Daniel Garb. Nice to have you back,
Matty,
Garby. What a replacement.
Where's the commitment from the MacArthur Bull centre-back? Missing the Supercoach podcast because you've got to actually do your job. Not sure about it, Matty, but good luck.
He came in last week off the back of a pre-season game in the morning. They were playing a pre-season game at 10:30 in the morning against the Wanderers. Told us he got up there, so well done, and hoping they can do a job in Hong Kong.
Let's hope so. Hello, Maestro. How are you, mate?
Very well, mate. Less so for my Supercoach team, but we'll get to that in just a second. Happy with Liverpool. I mean, they snuck home, didn't they? Man down against Burnley, and Salah, cool as a cucumber. 95th minute, 3 points, 4 wins.
4 from 4. The first time in Premier League history that 4 wins have been achieved with goals in the final 10 minutes. 4 in a row, that is. So quite amazing. Liverpool are not playing well, but they're getting the job done, and obviously the rest of the league is worried about that because they will get better. Wirtz will get better, even though his last 2 games I think have been pretty good. And there's a guy called Alexander Isak to bring in. He wasn't even in the squad against Burnley. So they'll play in the Champions League tomorrow morning at the time of recording. Isak probably makes his debut there, but the Reds will lift. But they're top of the table and clear in that description after 4 games, and they've probably been in second gear at best.
I think that's an interesting one because I haven't been impressed by them at all, but I can't say I've been completely impressed by any of the contenders at this point. City been off the pace.
Yeah, I think Arsenal have probably played better than Liverpool all up, to be honest.
But lost that game, of course.
But they lost at Anfield. Liverpool's just found a way to win, and they've got an incredible mentality and belief, but they need to play a whole lot better. There's no guarantee they will. I mean, things can take a while to adjust. You don't just click a finger and it all happens. But over the course of the season, you'd imagine they would find a consistency at a high level. But the Gunners have probably been the best team over the first month in terms of actual performance. But they do trail the Reds on the ladder.
Victor Gyökeres in for you this week, mate.
Yes.
That's a nice bit of timing. We didn't get you last week. Would have liked a heads up on that, on that little play. That worked very nicely.
I had some salary cap room, and he was just there, and I thought, like, why not? It makes sense.
Yeah.
They were at home to Forest. Didn't expect, I know we'll talk about Ange, but didn't expect Forest to be in a good place for only the reason that Ange had just come in. You know, it was a very tough game for them away. It was a mulligan, really. Yeah. And the likelihood of them being beaten was high. So Gyökeres stood out and, he paid off. We'll
see how Forest are lining up. We'll get to a couple of other big topics as we get into the podcast as well. Thank you for joining us on the SC Playbook EPL Edition podcast. Remember to go and follow us at our socials, X, Instagram, Facebook, and the SC Playbook League still open. $1,000 first prize if you're an SC Playbook subscriber. $500 to the winner if you're not. So become one. It costs just $2 a week. Less than your daily cup of coffee. It gets you access to numerous premium deep dive articles. Mine's just gone up, the final word for the week, across the website, as well as access to our WhatsApp community. We're going back and forth with some people on trades. Gave them a nice tip about Sarr, who played nicely on the weekend. We were worried about Xavi Simons coming in. I said, no, he's going to play a different position. I was proven right. It's always nice to get that. So we can be in there to give you a little bit of a heads up on what you want to do with your team. Contributor groups with us going back and forth at one another, and you can trade team advice, as I've just told you, with other members of the community. And if you're into your NRL, as we get into finals time, NFL, cricket coming up, NBA getting started up as well, all those branches of Supercoach amongst our community, and that at $2 a week gets you all of that. Head to scplaybook.com.au and subscribe in the menu. Let's get to Ange. First up, loss to Arsenal. Difficult day for them. What struck me about this performance, Garby, I think the squad look short of a run, short of a gallop. Yeah. I think this is going to be a long-term task. I think they've got a real struggle on their hands. This might be, for me, the most difficult assignment Ange has taken on in his career. The squad doesn't fit him.
That's a really interesting point. Is it the most difficult task he's ever had? Be right up there. I mean, just thinking on the spot now, obviously the Brisbane Roar job was incredible for where they were, overturned that squad, but he had time. I mean, the Socceroos job, I thought, for the 2014
World Cup before that.
World Cup was, they were at ground zero and he brought in young players and they did ever so well against strong teams, but their expectations were low.
Yes.
when it came to those jobs. Probably the same in Japan, where nobody quite knew what to expect, and he did so well. He has said himself in the wake of the Arsenal loss, I don't have time. This team finished 7th last year. It's not about a few months or a year. It's about Wednesday, which is the game as we speak against Swansea in the League Cup tomorrow morning. So he's put that on himself, which I imagine is a directive from the club, and he's accepting that. And let's be honest, he's 60 as well. He doesn't want to spend 5 years building something anymore. He wants to get going now. And that was probably the plan at Tottenham and didn't quite work out. So I think he knows that he doesn't have that luxury. And it is interesting to see how he goes as a result of that. Now, I reckon Forrest had a pretty good run injury-wise last season.
Yes.
That front four was together almost every week of Alunga, Gibbs-White, Wood, and then someone else on the other flank, be it Hudson-Odoi. But those three, they were the key, Alunga, Gibbs-White and Wood, right? And they played just about every single week. Are they going to get as lucky this time around? I mean, the chances are no. So, you know, he's going to have a bit of a task ahead of him in that sense. But, you know, he's still got players who achieved a lot last season at his disposal, and his ability to get into the minds of players straight away is generally pretty strong. So, yeah, the fixtures, the next two are big opportunities for him. Burnley away and then Sunderland at home. Burnley away is not easy because they, as we know, are really strong at the back, but they didn't really test Liverpool going forward. No. They never touched in the 18-yard box in the second half. So they can get them, and then Sunderland at home, he needs to win. And then the League Cup game, they need to do something nice as well. So, yeah, pressure early, but he's put that on himself. Which I didn't really expect him to say that after the Arsenal game. I don't think anyone did. To come out and say I don't have time. I've got to get it right straight away. But that makes for an interesting watch.
You've covered him for long enough. You know he's capable of a spanner in the works every now and then. Yeah, it's his way as much as anything, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. He's not predictable in terms of what he says. He never has been. And that makes him really interesting and exciting to cover and his teams to watch. So, yeah, that means that there is some urgency about Forest straight away. That's going to make the next month really exciting.
Looking forward to it. I talked to Matty last week about my panic trade of Chris Wood being brought in, just thinking they've got this one game against West Ham and then I'll bring in Joao Pedro. I'll use these two. I'm happy to do it at this stage in the season. It barely got a touch. Like it was
a good touch though.
Yeah.
One of the first half, it was a really nice touch.
But I just thought they looked lackluster in that game. And I know that led to the Nuno sacking and everything changing around. Perhaps the new manager bounce comes with a high quality of squad that he supposedly has. I'm worried. I'll put it that way. I'm not quite as buoyant as you.
No, I'm concerned as well about where it'll all be. I am, no doubt.
Yeah.
But there's a bit there to work with. I mean, the Chris Wood situation will be interesting. I mean, it's hard for him to replicate what he did last season, but then we've seen already in the first month some really good signs that the quality is still there. Scores a great goal in the opening week. His touch against Arsenal I think it was for Gibbs-White, was fantastic. You know, he's got the ability to do something that can take the game away from the opposition. And hopefully Ange can get the best out of him. They've got a top-class striker to work with. I always say that's something that's not discussed enough. But just having that is a massive boost for him. A player who, I don't know how many he scored last season, but around the 20 goals. If you've got a player who can do that, they're fit every week and they can provide that, it gives you a massive boost. And he's just someone he can leave on the park for 90 minutes and hope that he can conjure up a goal in every situation. So that's something he's got at his disposal, which he probably didn't have last season at Spurs for large parts of the campaign.
Very good point. It's good to juggle Europa League football over the next couple of weeks. Just to add another spanner in there, Real Betis and Midtjylland over the first 2 weeks of that starting next week. The second manager I want to go to, because this affects me in my fantasy team. I've been a believer in Bruno Fernandes. I'm very unhappy with the way Ruben Amorim is using him as part of that too, with Casemiro through the midfield. It's being much discussed over in the UK. I can't see him surviving at the moment. The way they have set out, the system they are playing, the fit of the players, even the ones they brought in, Benjamin Sesko has looked very short of the mark. Other than Brian Mbeumo, like, the off-season signings at the moment haven't hit the ground running, which they needed to. They were beaten by a Manchester City team in first gear over the weekend. Like, they played well for the first 15, 20 minutes of that game, but never looked in it. And it could have been 4 or 5 had Tierney Reinders taken a chance, had Haaland taken another one that fell his way. Is there any way Amorim survives? And if he does continue, is there any way he pushes Fernandes forwards? Because he just seems to have lost that impetus he was giving them, even in a team that was getting beaten badly last year.
It's Groundhog Day, mate. Like, we've seen this so many times before. You know, a Manchester United manager, he's given a bit of time, although it's still so early in his tenure. There was pressure at the start of the season and there's no momentum.
Yeah.
And I don't even, the positional changes that everyone talks about, I don't think it'll make much of a difference. Like Sesko to me was just Højlund all over again.
Yeah.
Like a talented striker, but you go to United and it all falls apart.
The weight of the club.
It's not even the weight of the club, to be honest, because expectations are pretty low right now. It's just a broken club. That's the problem. And they're stepping into a dressing room and a stadium and an environment that is void of any belief and confidence and is riddled with frustration and failure for 12 years now. I mean, if Amorim goes, they will be on to their 11th manager in 12 years, if you include interims, right? And the likelihood is he does go before the end of the season. 8 permanent managers, if a permanent manager's announced this season before the end of the campaign, in 12 seasons. They had 4 in 41 prior to David Moyes coming in. 4 managers in 41 and they could have 11 in 12. So that says it all, right? And it's not as if they've had average managers. You're talking Van Gaal and Mourinho, and they couldn't change the culture in the dressing room. And you're talking about massive signings like Ibrahimovic and Di Maria and Paul Pogba and
Falcao,
so many big names that have come through in that time. None of them could change the culture. Fernandes is the only one who has managed to keep things at a I'm not going to say respectable, but he has maintained his professionalism as a leader. And he's been the one signing that has actually excelled at United. The one. You can't name me another one they've spent money on outside of a young player that has actually enhanced their reputation since moving to Old Trafford. So all these things we speak about, the signings, it doesn't make a difference. No. Because nothing we're seeing outside of that tells you that they're moving in the right direction. And a lot of people thought Amorim would be the guy, and I get why. He's young, he's enterprising, but he's falling victim to the environment around him. And is that the ownership? Yes. Probably. But they made a lot of changes in that area as well in terms of the management of the club, and nothing's really being done. So it'll turn eventually, but in how long? 10 years? 15? I mean, it's crazy to watch. Yeah. It really is. You're a bit younger, but I grew up in an era where Manchester United just won the Premier League every single year.
That is the memory I had. Chelsea taking it off them was like this massive story.
They finished 15th last season. Manchester United, people say, well, Tottenham, that's Tottenham. Yeah. They're nowhere near Manchester United. So in terms of Supercoach players and that, it's hard to have any sort of confidence in some of these guys. Like obviously Fernandes, if he's playing more advanced, and Mbeumo's looking like
really
he's
good
really hard.
For a team that are not playing well. The save he forced from Donnarumma on the weekend, like probably any other goalkeeper in the league, that is a goal.
He's been pretty good. But defensively, again, as we've said all season, stay away because everything else just seems far too fragile.
We're going to get to our trades in a moment, but can we hint towards Lenny Yoro coming out of your team this week?
Well, I wanted to, but I just haven't wanted to burn too many trades. And I thought I brought in Gusto. Yeah. I thought, Lenny Yoro won't play, and then Gusto didn't play. Yeah. Which is, I think people are realising now Chelsea are rotating a lot. Everyone's getting very frustrated by Chelsea's defensive selections. So Yoro came in with his -1, which hurt me. So I'll try and get him out this week.
I tell you what, if you're looking at defences that are just scoring points every week, Matty Jurman's your man, 100 points this week. He should know.
Bruising centre-back, Matty.
You should know. So David Raya in goal, who you shared with 11. Clean sheet for Arsenal has been fantastic. Calafiori for Matty J. Tino Livramento, who I've been speaking highly of. Munoz at Crystal Palace. You had Tyrick Mitchell in there, who got an assist on the weekend as well. Should have had an assist, actually. Had one saved. Palace were held scoreless. Matty J had Mickey van der Ven, who I think is the top of many's wish list back there. 25 points over the weekend. Remarkable return. Tierney Reinders, Jack Grealish, Josh King in midfield, all middling returns. Mohamed Salah, who you had as vice-captain this week. Matty captained him, so didn't quite get the bonus of Holland on 24, who you and I captained. Richarlison 2, that'll be a talking point for some this week. You got him out last week, is that right? Is that who you brought out for Gyökeres?
I did bring out Richarlison, yes.
Okay. So you've got ahead of the curb there. And then he had Matty Cash on his bench who scored 10 as well. Perhaps Sarr on his bench who scored 15.
It could have been a whole lot better for Matty.
That's it. Matty could have been up.
Captain.
Matty could have been up towards the top 1%ers. Milos Kerkez, a disappointing return for you. Garby with just the 1 point. Kyle Walker with a 5. Yakuba Mensah.
Yeah, Mintez coming good. Grealish with 8, so you're obviously doing well. Salah and Gyökeres we spoke about was the big one coming in. But David Raya has been fantastic.
Just reliable.
Arsenal looking so strong defensively right now.
And he wasn't one of the most expensive going into the league. He's going to add a little bit of value for owners over the course of the week as well. We'll get to my trades in just a moment. So the first discussion point I need to talk with you about in terms of the players likely to move down, we talked about Mohamed Salah with Matty last week. He's set to move down in price again this week. He needs a 24 or more in the game coming up this weekend. Where are you sitting with? Obviously, you're happy as an owner. You're just happy to sit there and cop that because you're not planning to trade him out. I'm of a mindset. I'll be waiting another week or two, but it's getting close to trade time now because Liverpool's run up to Christmas is not the most difficult. And
I think if you've taken your tactic, which was I'm going to wait for him to drop, that's going to pay off. He's put in a couple of good scores, mainly with late goals.
Yes.
He's not looking strong, so I think people who don't have Salah would be frustrated by that. Like he's just pulling owners out of the fire.
I wrote as much in my column this week. It's been very frustrating.
But, they're playing Everton at home this week and he could easily score a double. So he's not looking anywhere near as sharp as he did last season. It's not like he's looking slow. He's looking fit, but he's just not breaking games open as much as he has in the past. He's not getting by players as much. And it's probably an adjustment to a system, I think. I mean, he's so used to Trent bombing on for so many years, and that's changed. And he's got Wirtz to work with now. He's seeing a lot of the ball. So I think there's moving parts, I think, that have probably stopped him from being as damaging as he has been in the past. And that will only increase with Isak coming into the side. But he's still managed to tick the point, much like Liverpool.
That's right.
He's just ticking getting the job over, done, right?
Yep.
Without playing well. And the prospect is that he does live soon. I'm
very interested. Like, I know this is Champions League. It's outside the reams of Supercoach, but it does have an impact that he's going to be playing against an Atletico Madrid side tomorrow morning as we record this, who are going to be set defensively, a Simeone team. How Arne Slot sets up for that test, as well as the way he and Isak try and form a partnership. I'd be very surprised that both don't start unless you think differently.
I don't know if Isak will start. He'll definitely play.
Yeah.
He might not start. They might bring him off the bench and then start him against Everton. I think that's possible. I think Wirtz will benefit from a game in the Champions League. I get the feeling that just a different pace, different
slightly
environment.
slower, right?
Yeah, maybe at times just an opposition that he's a bit more accustomed to in terms of the way they set up might just be what he needs right now. So maybe that'll be the boost to really get him going. My tip would be Isak off the bench and then he starts against Everton.
Just more broadly on the Champions League sides, because they do have a lot of highly owned players. I wonder if we actually need to be worried about rotation in the Premier League as much as we have been in the past. We saw last year teams starting to rest guys towards the end of the group stage because of the leeway teams have versus the group stage that we used to have. Yeah. So one of the questions I was asked during the week was, are you worried about Sarr and Simmons coming in to take his spot? One, I think they're two different types of players, so I don't think they'll be interchangeable. But my other point was that I think they'll be keeping Sarr in for Premier League games, for example, because of the high physicality, because that plays into his hands, and also because Spurs won't be prioritising that competition until well after Christmas.
Yeah,
do you think that's
I think there's
a
a lot of validity in that. Yep. I'm with you.
And it'll be interesting to see how the Europa League sides go with that over the course as well. A couple of the other players that are set to be coming down in price. So for owners, Julian Timber, who's been very popular, needs a break even of 20 this weekend. Set to come down about 730k. So that's not exactly a cause to trade out and panic given the way Arsenal have been defending. But just want to note there for owners. And Ait Nouri, who's got a knock, Garby. So, a lot of scouting websites have got him listed at about a 25% chance to play over the weekend in that big game. I don't know, just the way City have been at the moment, they're not in full flow, are they? They're sort of sitting in second or third gear. It was probably even less than that against Man United on the weekend, as we've already mentioned.
Yeah, but Haaland's looking strong.
Yes.
Render's looking strong. Jeremy Doku. What did I tell you 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Watch for Doku to get games now with others out, and he is just a weapon. He doesn't get discussed enough. I mean, I'm looking at ways to get him into my fantasy teams because if he has a good run at it for a month, he can destroy you. So Doku's looking really good. And at the back, I think Donnarumma will have a huge influence on them. Ruben Dias is getting more of a run now with that Nuri out. So, yeah, I think they'll lift. I think Donnarumma will end up being a very smart signing. He's just going to... A keeper that you can rely upon just puts confidence right through an entire team. And I think you'll do that at City.
Let's have a look at some of the guys coming up. Danny Ballard expected to be named back in Sunderland's sides for this weekend. He's at a -19 break even, so just needs that one more game to tot up and he'll be getting the price runners. My advice there is if you've got a cheapie you're looking to trade out, think has reached their ceiling for the season. For me, it's a player like Quindalicia Hartman, who's added up a nice little bank. He could be one to get in, and you'll be getting a $2.4 million boost. That's without him scoring any points. So that could be one to look in if you've got some trades in the bank just to get in this week. Robin Roofs is another one that's sitting around that part of that Bournemouth defence that just keeps going from strength to strength. Talked a lot about their pair of fullbacks with Matty last week. Lucas Bergval's an interesting one. Sitting at a -9, had a big week, obviously, with Spurs playing well. I think he's set to see a lot of minutes in the Premier League this season. Bentancur and João Palhinha, if the evidence we're going on the side that Frank picked for the game against Villarreal this morning, they look to be the two on the rotation with Bergval and Sarr retaining their spots more often than not. They've got a League Cup clash coming up next week, which means if Frank is looking to rest players, you think he'd most likely do it there. I don't think they'll be pulling anyone out for the weekend. No.
I'm with you there. Dewsbury Hall, I think, is very valuable at that price.
Yeah.
The issue with me is I've got Grealish in. A lot of people might feel that way. You're doubling up too much on Everton players.
And Everton have got a tricky little run of fixtures coming up. The Liverpool game, obviously, this weekend, but you're getting close to Dewsbury Hall probably this week or next week, depending on his performance this weekend. It's do or die to get him in now or never. And Martin Zubimendi after the performance, and what a goal on the weekend.
You just wonder if it's one of those, deep-lying midfielders scoring a big goal. Very hard to maintain that.
Completely agree.
But maybe Arsenal were going that well. The guys are just going to get the opportunities to get forward and, with some defensive actions and passing points, he'll still manage to score pretty well at that price. I'd probably be staying clear more for now. Dewsbury Hall's a name that stands out for me. If you can't afford Grealish, that would be a good option in terms of the players who are going to go up, and probably Bergval as well.
It might be a short term. One other I want to ask you on, have you retained? You have. Rodri. Not starting games, but
he's just sitting there.
Played okay against United. Doesn't look fully fit, but
don't need him in my midfield right now.
No.
I'm happy on the bench. Ødegaard's the one I'll probably look to change.
Yes,
at the moment because, I think other guys are going to just getting more of an opportunity. He's got injury concerns. Spoken about Zubimendi. I don't know. I just don't think my hunch is he's not going to score as well this year as he did last year. I just think he might just fade away a little bit. So I'm going to look to change him out, and then you don't want to burn too many trades, so you just keep those guys on the bench who not taking up too much of your salary cap.
And still building value. Rodri,
just building.
Rodri's going to do that. If he does get any minutes, he'll be going up. So you don't have to worry about that. Let's have a look at some of the most traded in over the course of the week. No surprise, Xavi Simons is there. 6 mil, scored 14 in the opening game, has a negative break-even already with 2 games to play before his price actually changes. So he's the one for me, with Martin Ødegaard likely to be out, although I'll talk to you through what I'm planning to do this week, Garby. I've got all sorts of implications as I try to chase my way back up to the top. You impressed with Simons? I was a bit surprised that he did start out on the wing for Thomas Frank, but he's that sort of player who's going to come central, and the way Spurs play is often through their wingers coming central, and he might be able to pick up some very solid scores for you. The fact he's actually classed as a midfielder could be an advantage.
Big name signing, big money signing. I think he will be the man they will look to play through more than any other. I think Simons is going to be a huge acquisition for Tottenham, and fantasy-wise, I think he'll end up being very, very valuable. It looks like he's going to be the chief playmaker in the absence of Maddison. That's why they signed him. So he's basically the man that, whether he's out wide or through the middle, that they look to utilise to create. So, yep, I'd be at that price.
That's the kicker for me. Yeah. Any higher, and I'm thinking, okay, I might just hold the back and have a look. But $6 million, happy to dive in.
Yeah.
Happy to dive in.
I will as well.
Anton Semenyo is the most traded in forward this week. He's sitting at 10.4 mil.
He's a bloody good player.
Oh, is he ever? You saw that against Liverpool firsthand in the first week. He was terrific against Brighton. Just all action, live wire everywhere. And Bournemouth don't have a lot of other options up front. So he's going to be seeing consistent minutes. 10.4 mil is a bit steep for me. But if that drops at all over the course of the season, he will definitely be one to look at. Yeah,
he's one that's jumped up this season. When a lot of us talked about Mateta and some others, but Semenyo is the one that's really come through.
The other one I'm trying to find out a way to carve out the money for him. I don't have it at the moment, but Mickey van der Ven. Spurs have looked vastly improved defensively. They look like a team that is now scoring more regularly through set pieces after Ange's dismissal of them at times last season. Thomas Frank is known for getting his team set up for this. They're almost NFL-style plays, and they paid off over the weekend for them. I think he's going to be a significantly higher scorer than last year if he can stay fit.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's sort of, even Tottenham fans, I feel like are holding fire. I haven't heard Tottenham fans getting too carried away, and it buys into, do you acquire a player like Van der Ven? Do you think he'll hold the sort of form?
Once bit,
because
right?
Ange did this, right? At the start. And they had this great run, and then it all fell apart. I think Spurs fans are wary that the duration of the season with Champions League could get them at some stage. That injuries might appear at some stage. They are still just a little bit fragile if things start to pile up against them. Once bitten, twice shy is the best explanation for it. So at that price, as well as he's scoring, I don't know, I'm just kind of holding off a little bit now. Whereas someone like Xavi Simons, I think, can come in and even if Spurs are up and down, he'll still be scoring. And that price he's got is very cheap. So he's the Tottenham player I'd be looking at. Van der Ven, you're not going to go wrong, but I think people are still reluctant to they're reluctant to go the old C.
Yes.
They got rid of Ange, what a move. I think even Tottenham fans are holding off saying that, partly out of respect for Ange because of what he did with the Europa League. They realise the reason they're in Europe is because of him, but they also know that it can occur again.
Yes.
What happened under Ange, and it's hard to stop a complete drop.
It's hard to stop the Spursiness. It's just in the DNA of the football club, isn't it?
Aware.
Sorry, Spurs fans. Just had to get that jab in there. The one thing we haven't talked about a lot, because play's not really moving, we talked a lot about Joao Pedro with Matty last week, came on and provided service this week. He's going to be regular starting now with Delap out. The other player of interest is Cole Palmer, who came back in, scored. He's sitting at a steep price, but this perhaps the rest was a blessing in disguise. A player who's played so much football, hasn't had a rest since the World Cup. The one thing I will say about Chelsea's fixture as well, there's a trip to Manchester United coming this weekend, and they haven't looked particularly good defensively, Garby. Then it's Brighton at home, Liverpool at home, and Nottingham Forest away. That is very attractive to me. I won't be bringing Palmer back in, but Joao Pedro at the moment, I'm his biggest cheerleader.
Yeah. And for good reason. The Palmer goal, you watched it, you just went, he's back.
Yeah.
It was that kind of finish that just went, he looks calm.
Just passing it into the back of the net, isn't it?
Something about him it was the Palmer when he's in that zone and he's scoring every single week. It looked like he was in the middle of that with the way in which he tucked that away. There was no real urgency or desperation. It was all very composed. So I think there will be a strong move to get Cole Palmer into your teams off the back of that. I think he might just go on a very strong run.
And if you've got a Bruno Fernandes, he's one I'm looking at going, okay, until he moves forward, I think Palmer could be a very good move back. Move back to him as long as these injury problems stay away. That's just the one thing that's got me a little bit worried. But hey, that's my way. It should be all our ways as Supercoach players, shouldn't it? Just checking Palmer's price, 12.7 mil. So he's still sitting up there. one to wait and see on. Injury concerns, no massive ones going into the weekend. William Saliba trained last week, wasn't risked against Nottingham Forest, probably with good reason.
And didn't play Champions League this morning either.
There we go. So we expect him to be back in the side.
Yeah, well,
over the course
they
of
said
the weekend.
The injury wasn't serious. So, if you've been holding him, he should come back for you. But it's annoying. It only looked like a minor ankle. I think he'll play this weekend.
It was so funny that he tried to... The fact he tried to play through it initially tells me, I think it might not be as serious as first thought. Frimpong came off the bench for Liverpool last weekend. You're worried about his spot, though, Garby. You think
his
it might
job
be taken off him?
security is a bit low.
Yeah.
Just because, Conor Bradley's fit and strong and a really good option. The injury early on to Frimpong is the last thing he needed. Szoboszlai's been used there and played really well. I just think he'll get rotated.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be the nailed-on right back that many people thought. And you know what? Maybe not for Kirkej either, because Andy Robertson had a really good game against Burnley. He's the vice-captain. It's almost as if Robbo's gone, all right, everyone's written me off. Everyone thinks I was out of here, right? I'm just there to be back up now to Kirkej. It looks like that's driving him on. It's almost what he needed, right? He's got the wind up him a little bit and he's turning some heads, Andy Robertson. So maybe those nailed-on fullbacks that everyone thought, Kirkej and Frimpong, and might not end up being that at Liverpool. So, certainly Frimpong's a player I'd be avoiding.
Yeah.
And Kirkej, there might be a few concerns there over whether he's going to be as strong in fantasy. I think when he plays, he'll be great. But maybe Robbo will get the odd game.
Too much rotation at Liverpool. It's the old City problem now. They've got such depth.
Yeah.
It's not great for us Supercoach players at different times during the
season.
season.
I think Kirkej will play more often than not. But with Champions League, maybe a weaker Premier League game.
On him.
Weaker Premier League game. Robertson looking strong. They might give him the odd start.
Yeah, that's going to be one to watch as we go forward with Liverpool. Maxime de Kuyper, the other one I wanted to touch on because I've got him. Not expected to be an issue, but he was subbed first half against Bournemouth after a big collision with the advertising hoardings. I'm still holding on Brighton. I can't move off them just yet. Particularly, I thought they were unlucky again at different stages against Bournemouth. I thought Bournemouth deserved to win that game, but... they'll get it right. Professional club, good depth. Let's get into trade plans for the week. Garby, what are you looking at in terms of trade outs? Lenny Yoro, I think, top of the list.
Yeah, Yoro, to be honest, I think it's probably Ødegaard for Xavi Simons.
Right.
I think I'll bank some cash there.
The same way.
And save it. Maybe Yoro as well. But if I look at my defence and, I'm confident that I'll get enough guys playing and I can park him on the bench, then I might do that and just go the one. But if I'll have a good look at it. It could be Yoro out as well and, upgrade a defender.
So the player I'll tip you into there is Joachim Andersen at Fulham.
Love him.
Was a big talk in FPL, has not been mentioned in many dispatches this season because of a bit of unsureness, I guess, about Fulham. But their defence has looked strong.
He's a well-credentialed Premier League player. He was very good at Palace for a number of years. It's a really good get by Fulham. He's a big boy. Yeah, like him. It's the odd set piece, but he's a big reason why they'll have clean sheets. And
looking at their run of games, the reason I tip you in at this point, Brentford at home this weekend, then they go to Villa, who haven't scored. What a remarkable fall from grace they've had. Hadn't scored a league goal yet this season. They're away at Bournemouth before hosting Arsenal at home. So there's a nice little run of 3 or so games. I think he could be in for a longer period than that over the course of the season, as long as Fulham continue in the same vein. All right, I'm going to talk you through my 2 options this week, Garby, and I'd like some help. I'd like some advice. So all of this plays into the captaincy as well, because I'm trying to loop. I'm having a look at what's happening there. So Ødegaard, I'm of the same mind as you. I think that the trade for Simons could work nicely. If I do go that route, the captaincy will go to Pedro, playing against Man United and their ropey defence at the moment. A trade for Ødegaard, and I'm one off. I'm not getting the looping option. The other option I've got is play it safe with Haaland in the captaincy role again. I know it's a difficult game up against Liverpool this weekend, but trust him in that captaincy against Arsenal. Trust him in that captaincy role. Pedro Fernandes as the VC with no trades this week, and just keep one in the locker. I've used up, I think, 6 of my trades already. That's a lot early in the season. I think I'm tending towards that, but Ødegaard's fitness is critical to all that. If is playing, then I'm actually more likely to trade him out if that makes sense.
So can I loophole on that?
Yes.
Salah's playing the early Saturday game.
Yes.
Can I loophole him with someone who's not going to play?
So, for example, you'd need to set him as your vice captain,
yep.
and then have a Haaland or someone as your captain playing the next
Salah
night.
goes well
but you need that player to be playing on the Sunday night that you're
Can't
setting
be later on Saturday.
No, can't be later on Saturday. Right. It's locked out over the match day, and then you've got to. And then
to get that explanation. All right, that's what I'll try to do. Yeah, with you, I don't know. What's your gut telling you?
I think I'm going to play it safe, save the trade, rely on. I mean, Haaland is just so reliable, right? And Joao Pedro, yes, I think he's going to have a big score. I
think Haaland's scoring no matter what.
I think Haaland is just playing so well, and the fact that Saliba is coming back into that game off an injury. I just think Arsenal might not be as stable, and Liverpool have shown that can be got at different times if they're not quite at their best. So I'm tending towards that. Keep the trades in my back pocket this week and move forward with some more information on team rotation. That's what I'm most worried about is team rotations over these European games and seeing how teams set up. We'll have more information with the Europa League and the Conference League starting next week as well. Yep. So that's my thought. I'm thinking the second, Haaland captain, set, forget, and we move on to next week.
Yeah, dangerous against Arsenal because their defence is so strong.
I'm well aware.
There's a bit of risk there.
It's not the easiest week.
It's not. If you could loophole something, it'd be great.
If Harry Tyrrell, Everton, what's going on with these early kickoffs for Everton? We just need to I think I've got 3 or 4 over the next 5 weeks. So we'll move back there. What are you thinking, Garby?
No, I think I'm going to go Salah and I'll have a loophole option, I reckon, on Sunday.
Yeah.
If I don't, it could be interesting. Then I might just take the risk on Salah and hope it pays off.
Everton's defence not looking, well, actually, hasn't looked too bad, has it?
Hasn't looked too bad. Anfield, I think Liverpool will be up for it.
What have they won twice there since 1999?
Yeah.
Remarkable record.
I think Liverpool will be off the back of a Champions League game, back-to-back games at Anfield, just a bit of energy around the place. I think they will be, they'll say, all right, now it's time for us. We're 4 from 4. We haven't played well. Let's get going, boys.
Yep.
The derby's the perfect way for them to do that, and Salah's usually in the action when that's the case.
Let's hope so. For owners, I'm backing against him. Come on, Everton. Just told him out this weekend. Garby, thank you so much for your company, Alex, again today. Thank you to all of you out there listening to us, SC Playbook EPL edition. Been a pleasure to have your company. Matty Jurman will be back from Hong Kong next week. Garby, you expecting to be around? Well, fingers crossed. We'll keep a surprise for you. I will be here no matter what, and we will see you again for the record next week. Hope your team goes well this weekend. Enjoy the Merseyside derby. Enjoy Manchester City against Arsenal, and we'll be back. SC Playbook, EPL edition. For now, goodbye.